Hey guys, what's going on? Psycho Dude Horror here. Welcome to another story. This is a new one. It's going to be a short one. A very short one. Only a one-parter because I'm trying to save the long series one for my tiny town. Just got put on lockdown searching for a way out. So if you guys enjoy this short story, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Today we are going to be reading, this is a very old one, if you guys know about it. If you know, you know. But it's an older story. I think it started in 2008, maybe. I'm not sure. But it is a story that originated from 4chan, I believe. And it is called Smile.dog. You guys know about it? Cool, you guys are OGs. If you don't know about it, well, I'm going to read it to you now. So, again, if you guys enjoy the story, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. And let's get into the story. Stay scary. I first met in person with Mary E. in the summer of 2007. I had arranged with her husband of 15 years, Terrence, to see her for an interview. Mary had initially agreed since I was not a newsman but rather an amateur writer gathering information for a few early college assignments and, following according to plan, some pieces of fiction. We scheduled the interview for a particular weekend when I was in Chicago on unrelated business. But at the last moment, Mary changed her mind and locked herself in the couple's bedroom, refusing to meet me. For half an hour, I sat with Terrence as we camped outside the bedroom door. I listened and took notes while he attempted fruitlessly to calm his wife down. The things Mary said made little sense but fit with the pattern I was expecting. Though I could not hear her, I could tell from her voice that she was crying, and more often than not, her objections to speaking with me centered around an incoherent diatribe on her dreams, her nightmares. Terrence apologized profusely when we ceased the exercise, and I did my best to take it in stride. Recall that I wasn't a reporter in search of a story, but merely a curious young man in search of information. Besides, I thought at the time I could perhaps find another similar case if I put my mind and resources into it. Mary E. was the sysop for a small Chicago-based bulletin board system in 1992. When she first encountered smile.jpg, her life was changed forever. She and Terrence had been married for only 5 months. Mary was one of an estimated 400 people who saw the image when it was posted as a hyperlink on the BBS, though she is the only one who has spoken openly about the experience. The rest have remained anonymous, or are perhaps dead. In 2005, when I was only in 10th grade, smile.jpg was brought to my attention by my burgeoning interest in web-based phenomena. Mary was the most often cited victim of what is sometimes referred to as smile.jpg. The being smile.jpg is reputed to display what caught my interest, other than the obvious macabre elements of the Sire legend and my proclivity towards such things, was the sheer lack of information, usually to the point that people don't believe it even exists other than as a rumor or a hoax. It is unique because though the entire phenomena centers around a picture file, that file is nowhere to be found on the internet. Certainly many photo-manipulated simulacra litter the web, showing up with the most frequent on sites such as the image board 4chan, particularly the X-focused paranormal subboard. It is suspected these are fakes because they do not have the effect the true smile.jpg is believed to have, namely sudden onset temporal lobe epilepsy and acute anxiety. This purported reaction in the viewer is one of the reasons phenomena like smile.jpg is regarded with such disdain. Since it is patently absurd, though demanding on whom you ask, the reluctance to acknowledge smile.jpg's existence might be as much out of fear as it is of disbelief. Neither smile.jpg nor smile.dog is mentioned anywhere on Wikipedia, though the website features articles on such other, perhaps more scandalous shock sites as hello.jpg or Two Girls One Cup. Any attempt to create a page pertaining to smile.jpg is summarily deleted by any of Encyclopedia's many admins. Encounters with smile.jpg are stuff of internet legend. Mary E's story is not unique. There are unverified rumors of smile.jpg showing up in the early days of internet, and even one persistent tale that in 2002 a hacker flooded the forums of humor and sadder website Something Awful with a delung of smile.dog pictures, rendering almost half the forum's users at the time epileptic. It is also said that in the mid to late 90s that smile.jpg circulated on the internet as an attachment of a chain email with the subject line, "Smile, God loves you." Yet despite the huge exposure these stunts would generate, there would be very few people who would admit to having experienced any of them, and no trace of the file or any link has been discovered. Those who claim to have seen smile.jpg often weekly joke that they were far too busy to save a copy of the picture on their hard drive. However, all alleged victims offer the same description of the photo: a dog-like creature, usually described as a appearing similar of a Siberian husky, illuminated by the flash of the camera, sits in a dim room. The only background detail is visible, being a human hand extending from the darkness near the left side of the frame. The hand is empty, but is usually described as beckoning. Of course, most attention is given to the dog or dog creature, as some victims are certain than others about what they claim to have seen. The muzzle of the beast is repeatedly slit in a wide grin, revealing 2 rows of white teeth, very straight, very sharp, very human-looking teeth. This is of course not a description given immediately after viewing the picture, but rather a recollection of the victims who claim to have seen the picture, endlessly repeating in their mind's eye during the time they are in reality having epileptic fits. These fits are reported to continue intermittently, often while the victims sleep, resulting in very vivid and disturbing nightmares. These may be treated with medication, though in some sense it is more effective than others. Mary E, I assumed, was not on effective medication. That was why after my visit to her apartment in 2007, I sent out feelers to several folklore and urban legend-oriented news group websites and mailing lists, hoping to find the name of the supposed victim of smile.jpg, who felt more interested in talking about her experiences. For a time, nothing happened, and at length I forgot completely about my pursuits since I had begun my freshman year of college and was quite busy. Mary contacted me by email. However, this was near the beginning of March 2008. To jml at blank.com from Mary E at blank.net. Subject: last summer's interview. Dear Dr. L, I'm incredibly sorry about my behavior last summer when you came to interview me. I hope you understand it was not no fault of yours, but rather my own problems that led me to act out as I did. I realized that I could have handled the situation more decorously, however, I hope you will forgive me. At the time, I was afraid. You see, for 15 years, I have been haunted by smile.jpg or smile.dog. Smile.dog comes to see me in my sleep every night. I know that sounds silly, but it is true. There is an ineffable quality about my dreams, my nightmares, that makes them completely unlike any real dreams I have ever had. I do not move and do not speak. I simply look ahead, and the only thing ahead of me is the scene from that movie picture. I see the beckoning hand, and I see Smile Dog. It talks to me. It is not a dog at first, though. I'm not quite sure what it really is. It tells me it will leave me alone if only throughout it lasts. All I do, it says, is spread the word. That is how it phrases its demands, and I know exactly what it means. It means to show it to someone else. And I could. The week after my incident, I received in the mail a manila envelope with no return address. Inside was a 3.5-inch floppy diskette. Without having to check, I knew precisely what it was. I thought for a long time about my options. I could show it to a stranger, a coworker, I could even show it to Terrence. As much as the idea disgusted me at what would happen then, well, if smile.dog kept his word, I could sleep. But if it lied, what would I do? If it wants to say something, worse would come for me if I did as the creature asked. So I did nothing for 15 years. I kept the diskette hidden amongst my things. Every night for 15 years, smile.dog has come to me in my sleep and demanded that I spread the word. For 15 years, I have stood strong. Though there has been hard times, many of my fellow victims on the PBS board, where I first encountered smile.jpg, stopped posting. I heard some of them committed suicide. Others remained completely silent, simply disappearing off the face of the web. They are the ones I worry about the most. I sincerely hope you'll forgive me, Mr. L, but last summer when you contacted me and my husband about an interview, I was near the breaking point. I decided that I would give you the floppy diskette. I did not care if smile.dog was lying or not. I wanted it to end. You were a stranger, someone I had no connection with, and I thought I would not feel sorrow when you took the diskette as part of your research and sealed your fate. Before we arrived, I realized what I was doing. I was plotting to ruin your life. I could not stand the thought, and in fact, I still cannot. I am ashamed, Mr. L, and I hope that this warning will dissuade you from further investigation of smile.jpg. We may in time encounter someone who is, if not weaker than then wholly or deprived. Someone who will not hesitate to follow smile.dog's orders. Stop while you are still whole. Sincerely, Mary E. Terrence contacted me later that month with the news that his wife had killed herself. While cleaning up the various things she left behind, closing email accounts, and like that, he had happened upon the above message. He was a man in shambles. He wept as he told me to listen to his wife's advice. He found the diskette he revealed and burned it until it was nothing but a sticking pile of blackened plastic. The part that most disturbed him, however, was how the diskette had hissed as it melted, like some sort of animal, he said. I will admit that I was a little uncertain about how to respond to this. At first, I thought perhaps it was a joke, with the couple belatedly playing with the situation in order to get a rise out of me. A quick check of several Chicago newspaper online obituaries, however, proved that Mary E. was indeed dead. There was, of course, no mention of suicide in the article. I decided that, for the time at least, I would not further pursue the subject of smile.jpg, especially since I had finals coming up at the end of May. But the world has odd ways of testing us. Almost a full year after I had returned from my disastrous interview with Mary E., I received another email. To jml@blank.com from Elza Hire 82 at blank.com. Subject: smile. Hello, I found your email address through a mailing list in your profile. It said you are interested in smile.dog. I have saw it. It is not as bad as everyone says. I've sent it to you. Here. Just spread the word. The final line chilled me to the bone. According to my email client, there was one filed attachment called naturally smile.jpg. I considered downloading it or something. It was most likely a fake, I imagine. Even if it weren't, I was never fully convinced of smile.jpg's peculiar powers. Mary E's account had shaken, yes, but she was probably mentally imbalancing. After all, how could a simple image do what smile.jpg was said to accomplish? What sort of creature was it that could break one's mind with the power of the eye? And if such things were patently absurd, then why did the legend exist at all? And if I downloaded the image, if I looked at it, and Mary turned out to be correct, if smile.dog came to me in my dreams demanding I spread the word, what would I do? Would I live my life as Mary had, fighting against the urge to give it until I die? Or would I simply spread the word, eager to put it to rest? And if I chose the latter route, how could I do it? Whom would I burden in turn? If I would, through my earlier intention to write a short article about smile.jpg, I decided I could attach it as evidence. And anyone who read the article, anyone who took interest, would be affected. And even assuming the smile.jpg attached the email was genuine, would I be precarious enough to save myself in that matter? Could I spread the word? Yes. Yes, I could. Hey there, kids. Psycho Dude Horror here. Thank you for listening to today's story. If you guys did, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I hope you guys enjoyed Smile Dog. I'm gonna be honest, it's one of my original favorites. It's still under Jeff the Killer and Slender Man, which we will do those at another time. But those are definitely my top three, is Slender Man, Jeff the Killer, and Smile Dog. So, like I said before, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing if you did enjoy. And I shall see you guys in the next story. Stay scary.